one more cup of coffee before I go to the valley below. Actually, I'm in a valley. And this is Malama o Manoa. Manoa is a valley where I live. And Malama means care for, take care of the valley of Manoa. I'm almost out of coffee. This is about my fourth take on this reading. I don't like reading, but they say do it, so I'm doing it. Aloha, everyone, and welcome to Become Hawaii. On January 17, 1893, the Kingdom of Hawaii was illegally overthrown. On August 12, 1898, Hawaii became a territory of the United States. Both events created overwhelming sadness for native Hawaiians as well as for many non-natives. Hearts were broken, and several musicians with the Royal Hawaiian Band were too emotional to perform at the Becoming an American Territory celebration, where the Hawaiian flag was lowered and the American flag raised, which instantly broke most everybody into tears. No celebrations were permitted that night because it was considered too dangerous for those who wanted to celebrate. See if I can get through this time. My name is Clyde McLean McLuman, and behind me is E. Kai, E-K-A-I. He's so funny. I was born and raised in Eugene, Oregon. I graduated from the University of Oregon in 1974 with a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology and minors in philosophy and economics. And within a few days, my wife, two small children, and I moved to Portland, where earlier I had accepted a job and inventory control position with a plywood lumber company, brokerage company, Heron Forest Industries. The year, as I said, was 1974, and the country entered a deep recession in the fall of that year, causing Heron to sell their 3 lumber mills. One was just auctioned off. Lumber mills and one dry kiln down in Northern California. I was offered a job at one of the remaining dry kilns and packaging companies in Eugene. Alternatively, I could go onto the trading floor with about 10 others on a 30-day trial basis. And these guys were seasoned traders, so go into a floor, you've got to compete for customers, you've got to compete for products, you've got to compete for selling products. It's a tough business, but it's a lot of fun. I loved it. Or you could go to the trading floor with 10 others, as I said. Close to the end of the 30-day trial, I sold my first truckload of plywood to Jerome, Idaho. I'm sure everyone knows where Jerome, Idaho is. It's somewhere over there. I was through there once. It's a nice, pleasant area. I actually like Idaho very much. This paid for my $700 per month draw against commissions they were paying me. Within 3 years ago, I was a top salesman tied with one of the owners, and was promised a partnership with the 4 remaining owners. It never happened. With delay and excuse after delay and excuse, after another year, an industry friend of mine who worked for another company at the time started our own plywood wholesale company, Ridgewood Forest Products, in Wilsonville, Oregon, about 15 miles south of Portland. We were very successful, and within 24 months, our bank, First Interstate, began using our company as a model in their startup business classes. 3 years later, I resigned as CEO of Ridgewood Forest Products. I did not start as CEO. Larry, my partner, did. He was 10 years older, had a lot more experience than me, and was a very good salesman. And I went to work for a Portland exporting company, Wood International. I ended up as CEO because he kind of made a big mistake and almost cost us a lot of money, several $100,000, which was a lot of money then. You could buy a house for $50,000. And I was sort of forced to take that position, to take the role of CEO, and I didn't like it. It was very hard on Larry, and which is part of the reason I quit. My territory was Western Europe, where I traveled several times a year. This was in the mid-'80s, and I was making slightly more than $225,000 per year based on 6% of the gross profits from my sales. Gross profits are profits after the cost of goods are sold. Cost of goods sold. That was close to $1 million a year, maybe a little more, on today's market. So it was a good job, you know. There was no pressure. I mean, I kind of knew the market, I knew the industry, and it was a lot of fun. The owner and I could not agree on a domestic sales department he wanted me to start. He had no domestic experience, and we each had a consultant and go back and forth. Proposal, counter-proposal, counter-proposal, counter-proposal. And his counter-proposals always end up paying me nothing. At first I wanted something in perpetuity, forever. And then I dropped it to 10 years. And then I dropped it to 5. And he'd always come back with, okay, but you get nothing. So, you know, you manage 7, 8, 10 salesmen who are trading millions of dollars of wood products monthly, and you got to stay on top of it. You got to hire the right people, you got to manage the right people, you got to know what you're doing. It's not just like a simple thing. We each had a consultant. Oh, that was what I wanted 5% of the gross profit from the department for at least 5 years. I was making 6% of the gross products from my export sales. 5% would have been, maybe for domestic sales, would have been $40,000, $50,000 a year, on top of my $225,000 a year. Gross profits are revenues minus the cost of goods sold. After a little more than 3 weeks, I became tired. I ended up in bed for 3 days. I was okay with my decision, but everybody else thought I was crazy. My parents, my wife was actually pretty good about it, but friends, and I started thinking maybe I was. I mean, it was a lot of money. It was a good job, you know, freedom to travel all over Europe. And anyway, ended up in bed for 3 days. And then after that, I got out by making an appointment with a psychiatrist who I saw for about 3 years. For that and other reasons. I kept selling wood products under a company I started on my own called MICOLLC, M-I-C-O-L-L-C, which stands for my company. So, anyway. One of the big takeaways for me was realizing how difficult it is to let go of money, which includes the prestige and power that always comes with both. It isn't easy. Some people die from heart failure or suicide, and many more turn to drugs and alcohol. Losing life, especially a lot of money, is an enormous stress. The words of Bob Dylan are appropriate. When you don't have nothing, you've got nothing to lose. In my first 10 years of striving for monetary success, I realized I am happier with less than more. With more comes the burden of having to make decisions. Should I wash the car or hire somebody? Should I mow the lawn or hire somebody? Should I build a fence or hire somebody? Those were the tough decisions I had to make. The world needs to strive for happiness. Money is not going to work out for everybody. Always wanting more money is unhealthy. We can't all be millionaires or billionaires, and we shouldn't all be admiring and looking up to every billionaire there is. We should never feel bad about ourselves when living the life that suits us. And making money doesn't suit all of us. I mean, I like money, but I didn't care about it. I mean, I didn't care about like many people that I worked with did. AI will replace up to 50% of today's workforce within the next few years. We need a new social economic model that not only provides free healthcare and low-cost higher education, but also includes housing, food, and enough money to participate in the life of your community. The world needs to shift from money being everything to being of service. True happiness comes from being of service to others, especially when you're in a community, from helping others and from participating in your community. This administration is going in the wrong direction by taking from the poor and giving to the rich. If you need money, you need to go to where the money is. We need to take from the rich and give to the poor. And the rich need to participate willingly in this type of radical socio-economic and mindset change because it works best for the world's survival, for the future. The United States is $36 trillion in debt because the wealthy did not pay their fair share of taxes. It's as simple as that. Everyone else did. And now this administration wants to lower income earners' pay and taxes for pay the taxes for the rich and wealthy. This is not right. This is despicably wrong. Cutting Social Security? No way. No way. The coup d'etat that overthrew the Kingdom of Hawaii was led by the Committee of Safety, composed of 7 foreign residents, including 5 Americans, 1 Scotsman, and 1 German, along with 6 Hawaii Kingdom subjects of American descent, all living in Honolulu. The Committee of Safety prevailed upon the American minister, Ambassador John L. Stevens, who allowed 162 Marines in full military war dress from the USS Boston to march on Iolani Palace, justified by protecting national interest. Where have we heard that before? Guns loaded, sabers clanging, mounted horses trotting and whinnying, with cannon wheels crunching into the loose dirt and gravel roadway. From inside the palace, one could hear this loud, disturbing sound. Queen Liliuokalani stepped out onto her lanai to see the cause of this thunderous and frightening sound. She took a step backwards when the American soldiers aimed their loaded rifles at her as they marched past her to the palace entrance. Later, when a reporter asked a lieutenant why they had aimed their rifles at the Queen, he was told, out of respect. Have you ever had a gun pointed at you? Well, I have, and it does not feel like respect. It scares the Jesus out of you. In reality, simple intimidation. We can all agree this takeover was the result of self-centered greed and power, capitalism. Generally speaking, capitalism has served its purpose and now needs to be replaced. Capitalism needs to go. It is no longer working like it once did. It does not suit the future of the world. It needs to be replaced, and not replaced with Donald Trump, Elon Musk, the Heritage Group, and dozens of oligarchs. These people are the problem, not the solution. Keep in mind that demonstrations work by inspiring others. If a demonstration is righteous, it will grow. So please demonstrate. My political website is mac808.com. I want to end this podcast with my 5 Hawaiian-related truths. 1, ignoring facts is not justice. Liking something does not make it right. Time does not turn a wrong into a right. Hawaii is not America. Hawaii is tethered to America. Hawaii is not Hawaii. Hawaii cannot be Hawaii until it cuts itself loose, in parts or completely. So how does Hawaii become Hawaii? My book recommendation. Can you read this? It says Outgrowing Capitalism. Marco Dundee. capital isn't necessary. I mean, it works, and it works pretty good in the right circumstances, but it doesn't work like it used to be. Monopolies were illegal. Now individuals are monopolies and monopolizing specific industries and making trillions and billions while many others suffer. It's not right, and we need to change it. The ideas in this book work for the United States as well as for an independent Hawaii. My suggestion is that the United States maintain military rights in Hawaii and help give Hawaii back to the Hawaiians, using Hawaii as a test nation for futuristic socio-economic policies like outgrowing capitalism that could be humanely implemented elsewhere in the world and create a United States socio-economic worldwide network. So what I'm saying is we could create, because Hawaii is out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, there's not a lot of car traffic in and out of here, and so it's a good test to test some of these new socioeconomic models. And if we could create one, and we would need the help, we would need the backup, we would need the support of the United States, but it would be so cool because we could just use that model for other countries and start including other countries in that socioeconomic model. So that's my plea for Congress. That's it. The end. Mahalo. Thanks for watching. I hope you watch again. Next time I'm going to talk about the apology resolution by the U.S. Congress and my visit to Iolani Palace. Don't miss it. Thank you.